The fluorescent lights hummed their usual tired song above the empty tables of Harrington's Steakhouse. It was a Tuesday night in downtown Chicago, the kind of night where the city felt too big and too quiet at the same time. Rain drummed steadily against the tall windows, streaking the glass and blurring the streetlights outside into smudged halos of yellow and white. Inside, the air smelled of grilled meat, butter, and the faint citrus of industrial cleaner. Only 3 tables were occupied in the dining room that could seat 60. The hostess stand sat empty. Even the kitchen noise had died down to occasional clattering and low voices. Maya Washington moved between the tables with practiced invisibility, a gray cleaning cart rolling quietly in front of her. She wore the standard black uniform, simple pants, a button-up shirt with the restaurant's gold crest embroidered on the chest, and non-slip shoes that had lost their shine months ago. Her hair was pulled back into a neat bun, and her hands, though constantly moving, carried a gentleness that came from years of handling things that didn't belong to her. She was 28 years old but looked older in certain lights. Life had a way of doing that. She'd been working at Harrington's for 3 years, long enough to know which customers tipped well, which ones complained about everything, and which ones never looked at her at all. Most fell into that last category. Maya didn't mind. Invisible was easier. Invisible was safer. She could do her job, collect her paycheck, and go home to her small studio apartment in South Loop without drama, without confrontation. That's all she wanted, just to be left alone. She wiped down table 7 with smooth, circular motions, her eyes sweeping the surface for crumbs, water rings, forgotten napkins. The couple who'd been sitting there had left 20 minutes ago. They'd been kind. The woman had smiled at her. The man had said thank you. Small gestures, but they mattered. Maya glanced toward the entrance as the heavy glass door swung open. A gust of cold, rain-scented air rushed in, and with it came a man. He was young, maybe 30, maybe younger, with sharp features and an expensive haircut that looked effortless but probably cost more than Maya made in a week. He wore a tailored charcoal suit, perfectly fitted with no tie, and the top 2 buttons of his white shirt undone. His shoes were Italian leather, polished to a mirror shine despite the rain. He didn't look around, didn't acknowledge the hostess who hurried over with a smile. He simply pointed toward the back of the dining room, to the corner booth near the windows, the most expensive section, reserved for high-profile clients and special occasions. The hostess nodded quickly and led him there, her heels clicking against the polished floor. Maya watched from the side, hands folded in front of her apron. She knew that booth. Table 12, the one with the crystal chandelier overhead and the leather seats that cost more to reupholster than most people's cars. He sat down without a word, his back to the wall, his gaze fixed somewhere outside the rain-streaked window. The hostess handed him a menu, but he didn't open it, just waved her away with a flick of his hand. Maya returned to her cart, pretending not to notice, but she noticed everything. It was part of the job. The waiter, Daniel, a college kid who worked nights to pay tuition, approached the table with the usual rehearsed charm. "Good evening, sir. Can I start you off with something to drink?" The man didn't look up. "Water, no ice. And the ribeye, medium rare, nothing else." Daniel blinked, caught off guard by the brevity. "Of course. Any sides or—" "I said nothing else." Daniel nodded quickly and retreated toward the kitchen, his smile faltering. Maya saw it. She'd seen it 1,000 times. The way people with money could shrink others with just a tone, just a look, or in this case, the absence of one. She pushed her cart toward table 9, keeping her head down. The dining room felt heavier now, as if the man's presence had sucked some of the air out of the space. The other diners seemed quieter, more cautious, as though they could sense something in him that demanded distance. Maya cleaned in silence, her movements automatic. Wipe, spray, wipe again. Stack the salt and pepper shakers. Adjust the napkin holder. Make everything perfect, invisible, unremarkable. 20 minutes passed. The man's food arrived. He ate slowly, methodically, cutting precise pieces and chewing without expression. He didn't touch his phone, didn't read, didn't speak, just ate and stared out at the rain. Maya had finished her section and was about to head back to the supply closet when she noticed table 12's neighboring booth was empty and needed cleaning. She hesitated. Something about approaching that area made her uneasy, but the manager, Mr. Calloway, was watching from the bar, and he didn't tolerate hesitation. She wheeled her cart over, keeping her movement small, unobtrusive. She started with the booth next to the man, her back to him, her focus on the table in front of her. If you're enjoying this story and want to see what Maya discovers next, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It really helps us keep bringing you these incredible true stories. Now, let's continue. From the corner of her eye, she could see him finish his meal. He placed his fork and knife neatly on the plate, aligned perfectly, and pushed it toward the center of the table. Then he stood. He didn't call for the check, didn't signal Daniel, just stood, adjusted his suit jacket, and reached into his pocket. Maya kept cleaning, but her attention was locked on him now. She couldn't help it. He pulled out a handful of coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, and scattered them across the table with a careless flick of his wrist. They clattered against the wood, rolling in different directions, some spinning before settling flat. One quarter rolled off the edge and bounced twice on the floor before coming to rest near Maya's shoe. The man looked at the coins for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he turned and walked toward the exit without a word. No goodbye, no acknowledgement of Daniel, who had started toward him with the check. Just gone. The door swung shut behind him, and the dining room exhaled. Maya stood frozen, staring at the scattered coins on table 12. Her chest felt tight. She'd seen dismissive tips before, she'd seen people leave nothing at all. But this felt different, deliberate. A message. You're worth this. Coins. Scraps. Daniel approached the table, staring at the mess. Unbelievable, he muttered. Guy drops $200 on a steak and leaves loose change. Maya said nothing. She moved toward the table slowly, her cart creaking softly. Daniel shook his head and walked away, already moving on. But Maya couldn't. She began gathering the coins, her fingers trembling slightly. Quarters, dimes, nickels. She counted without thinking. $3.75 for a meal that cost over $200. She was about to push the plate aside to wipe down the table when something stopped her. A feeling, a small, quiet instinct that told her to wait, to look closer. Maya glanced around the dining room. Mr. Calloway was busy at the register. Daniel was in the kitchen. The other diners were focused on their own meals. No one was watching. She leaned in and carefully lifted the heavy porcelain plate. Underneath, pressed flat against the dark wood of the table, was a small plastic card. Maya's breath caught. It wasn't a credit card. It wasn't a business card. It was a key card, the kind used for hotel rooms or private access. Plain white with a magnetic strip and a single number printed in small black font, 1408. Her heart began to race. She picked it up, turning it over in her hands. There was nothing else. No name, no logo, just the number. Why would he leave this? Before she could process it, a voice called from across the room. Maya. She looked up sharply. Mr. Calloway was standing near the hostess stand, his expression tight. The gentleman from table 12 just came back. He's asking if you found something. Maya's stomach dropped. She looked down at the key card in her palm, then back at Mr. Calloway. Her mind raced. He came back, he's asking. He knows. Did you? Mr. Calloway pressed, his tone growing impatient. Did you find anything? Maya's fingers closed around the card. The coins were still scattered on the table. The man was somewhere near the entrance, waiting. And suddenly, Maya understood. The coins weren't the tip. They were the distraction. Maya's hand tightened around the keycard, the plastic edges pressing into her palm. Her pulse hammered in her ears, drowning out the ambient noise of the restaurant, the soft jazz playing through the speakers, the distant clinking of dishes, the murmur of the remaining diners. Mr. Calloway was still staring at her from across the room, his expression shifting from impatience to suspicion. He took a step forward. Maya, I asked you a question. She swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. Her mind raced through possibilities, each one more dangerous than the last. If she showed him the keycard, he'd take it. He'd give it to the man. And whatever this was, whatever test or game or transaction was happening, she'd lose her chance to understand it. But if she lied, and the man knew she'd found it, she could lose her job. Or worse. Maya's voice came out smaller than she intended. She cleared her throat and tried again. I found some coins, Mr. Calloway. That's all. His eyes narrowed. He glanced toward the entrance where she could now see the man standing just inside the doorway, water dripping from his expensive suit onto the polished floor. He hadn't left. He'd circled back, probably waited outside for a few moments before re-entering. He was testing her. Mr. Calloway turned back to Maya, his jaw tight. Are you sure? Because Mr. Harrington is a valued client, and if he says he left something, Harrington? Maya's eyes widened slightly. Mr. Calloway's expression flickered with surprise, as if he'd revealed something he shouldn't have. He recovered quickly. Just bring whatever you found to the front. Now, Maya's mind spun. Harrington, the same name as the restaurant. This wasn't just some rich customer. This was the owner, or family of the owner. Someone who could make her disappear from this job with a single phone call. She glanced down at the table. The coins still lay scattered across the dark wood, glinting under the chandelier light. Slowly, deliberately, she began gathering them into her palm. Quarters, dimes, nickels, making a show of it. Her other hand, the one holding the keycard, stayed hidden against her apron. "Just these coins, sir," she said, her voice steady now. $3.75. Mr. Calloway's expression hardened. "Come with me." Maya's heart sank, but she nodded. She left her cleaning cart by the table and followed him across the dining room, her footsteps silent, her mind screaming. The other diners didn't look up. To them, she was just part of the background, furniture that moved. As they approached the entrance, the man, Harrington, turned to face them. Up close, Maya could see details she'd missed before. His eyes were a cold gray like polished steel. There was a small scar above his left eyebrow, barely visible. His cologne was subtle but expensive, something with notes of cedar and smoke. He didn't look at Mr. Calloway, his gaze went straight to Maya. "Did you find anything on my table?" His voice was quiet, controlled, but there was weight behind it. Not quite a threat, not quite a question. Maya met his eyes, forcing herself not to look away. She opened her palm, showing him the coins. "Just these, sir." He stared at them for a long moment. Then his gaze lifted back to her face, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. She felt exposed, like he was reading something in her that she didn't want him to see. "Just coins," he repeated softly. "Yes, sir." Silence stretched between them. Mr. Calloway shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Harrington, if there's something specific you're looking for, we can check the—" "No." Harrington raised a hand, cutting him off. His eyes never left Maya's. "That won't be necessary." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a leather wallet. From it, he extracted a crisp $100 bill and held it out toward Maya. "For your trouble." Maya stared at the money, her mind reeling. $3.75 in coins and now a $100 bill. Nothing about this made sense. "Take it," he said. Slowly, Maya reached out and took the bill. Her fingers brushed his for a fraction of a second and she felt a strange jolt. Not attraction, but recognition, like touching a live wire. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. Harrington nodded once, then turned to Mr. Calloway. "She's good, efficient. You should give her a raise." Mr. Calloway blinked, caught off guard. "Of course, Mr. Harrington. I'll make a note of it." "See that you do." Harrington buttoned his jacket and glanced out at the rain-soaked street. "Good night." He pushed through the door and disappeared into the night, leaving only the faint scent of his cologne and the wet footprints on the floor. Maya stood frozen, the $100 bill in one hand, the keycard still hidden against her apron in the other. Mr. Calloway let out a breath and turned to her, his expression caught between relief and annoyance. "What the hell was that about?" "I don't know, sir," Maya said honestly. "Well, whatever it was, you just made a good impression on one of the most powerful men in Chicago." He shook his head. "Get back to work, and don't spend that all in one place." He walked back toward the bar, leaving Maya alone near the entrance. She looked down at the $100 bill, then at the door where Harrington had exited. Why would he give her money after leaving coins as an insult? Why would he come back asking for something, then leave without it? And why did he seem satisfied when she lied? She returned to table 12, her legs feeling unsteady. The coins were gone. She must have dropped them somewhere. It didn't matter. What mattered was the keycard still pressed against her stomach, hidden beneath her apron. Maya pulled it out and looked at it again under the light. 1408. Just a number. No hotel name, no address, nothing. But Harrington had left it there deliberately, hidden under the plate where only someone who cleaned thoroughly, someone who paid attention to details, would find it. Someone like her. Maya's mind raced with possibilities. Was this a test? A trap? Some kind of sick game rich people played? Or was it something else entirely, something she couldn't even begin to understand yet? She slipped the keycard into the pocket of her apron, her hands trembling slightly. Whatever it was, she had a choice to make. She could throw the card away, forget this ever happened, and go back to being invisible. Or she could find out what room 1408 held. The rest of her shift passed in a blur. Maya moved through her duties mechanically, wiping tables, refilling condiment stations, sweeping floors. But her mind was elsewhere, turning over every detail of the encounter. Harrington, the owner's family, the coins, the keycard, the $100 bill. None of it added up. And yet, it all felt connected, like pieces of a puzzle she didn't have the full picture for yet. By the time her shift ended at midnight, the restaurant was empty except for the closing staff. Maya changed out of her work uniform in the cramped employee bathroom, pulling on her worn jeans and a gray hoodie. She looked at herself in the mirror, tired eyes, dark circles, hair escaping from its bun. She looked like someone who should go home, get some sleep, and forget about mysterious keycards and rich men who played mind games. But she didn't look like someone who would. Maya retrieved the keycard from her apron pocket before leaving the uniform in her locker. She tucked it into her jeans pocket, feeling its weight against her hip. Outside, the rain had softened to a drizzle. The streets of downtown Chicago glistened under the streetlights, reflecting neon signs and passing headlights. Maya pulled her hood up and started walking toward the L station, her breath misting in the cold November air. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, expecting a text from her roommate asking when she'd be home. Instead, it was an unknown number. 1408. The Whitmore Hotel, 11th floor. Come alone. You have 48 hours. Maya stopped dead in the middle of the sidewalk, staring at the screen. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Cars passed by, their tires hissing on wet asphalt. A couple hurried past her, laughing under a shared umbrella. She read the message again, then again. How did he get her number? The answer came immediately. Mr. Calloway. Her employee file. Harrington could access anything he wanted. Maya looked up at the city around her, suddenly feeling watched. The Whitmore Hotel. She knew it. A luxury high-rise near Millennium Park. The kind of place where rooms started at $500 a night. The kind of place where someone like her would only ever enter through the service entrance. Come alone. You have 48 hours. This was insane. This was dangerous. Every instinct she had screamed at her to delete the message, throw away the key card, and pretend none of this had ever happened. But another part of her, a part she'd kept buried for years, whispered something different. What if this is your chance? What if this is the moment everything changes? Maya stood on that rain-slicked sidewalk for a long time, the city moving around her, the message glowing on her phone screen. Finally, she made her decision. She turned away from the L station and started walking in the opposite direction, toward Michigan Avenue, toward the Whitmore Hotel. Her shift had ended, but her night was just beginning. The Whitmore Hotel rose like a glass cathedral above the Chicago skyline, its windows reflecting the city lights in geometric patterns. Maya stood across the street staring up at it, her hood pulled low over her face. It was 1:47 a.m. The lobby would be quiet. Security would be minimal. If she was going to do this, now was the time. She crossed the street, her hands shoved deep in her hoodie pockets, fingers wrapped around the keycard. The hotel's entrance was framed by golden light, with a doorman stationed outside despite the late hour. He was young, dressed in a burgundy uniform with gold trim, and he barely glanced at her as she approached. "Good evening," he said automatically, pulling open the glass door. Maya nodded and slipped inside, her heart racing. The lobby was exactly what she'd expected, all marble and crystal with soft classical music playing from hidden speakers. The ceiling soared 3 stories high, with a massive chandelier hanging like a frozen waterfall. A few people moved through the space, a couple checking in at the front desk, a businessman talking on his phone near the elevators, a woman in an evening gown crossing toward the bar. No one looked at Maya. To them, she was invisible, just another face passing through. She moved toward the elevators, trying to look like she belonged. Her shoes, cheap sneakers that had seen better days, squeaked slightly on the polished floor. She winced but kept walking. The elevator doors opened as she approached, and a group of laughing tourists spilled out, pulling rolling suitcases. Maya slipped inside before the doors closed, pressing the button for the 11th floor. As the elevator rose, she caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. She looked exactly like what she was, tired, underpaid, out of place. What was she doing here? What did Harrington want with her? Come alone. You have 48 hours. The elevator chimed softly as it reached the 11th floor. The doors slid open onto a long, carpeted hallway, dimly lit by wall sconces. Room numbers stretched in both directions: 1401, 1402, 1403. Maya stepped out, her breath shallow. The hallway was silent except for the faint hum of air conditioning. She turned right, following the numbers, her footsteps muffled by the thick carpet. She stopped in front of room 1408. The door looked like every other door in the hallway. Dark wood, brass handle, a small peephole. But standing in front of it, Maya felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff. She pulled out the key card, her hand trembling. This was it. The moment of decision. She could still turn around. She could still leave. But she didn't. Maya slid the key card into the slot. A small light blinked green. The lock clicked open. She pushed the door slowly, her heart in her throat, not knowing what she'd find on the other side. The room was dark. No lights, no sound, just darkness. And then, from somewhere in that darkness, a voice spoke. "I was beginning to think you wouldn't come." Maya's hand froze on the door handle. Her body tensed to run. The voice had come from somewhere deep inside the room, calm and unhurried, as if the speaker had been waiting there for hours. "Don't be afraid," the voice continued. It was Harrington. "Close the door behind you. We need to talk." Every survival instinct Maya had screamed at her to leave. This was how people disappeared. This was how bad decisions became tragedies. A strange man, a dark hotel room, a woman alone. But something kept her from running. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the $100 bill still folded in her pocket. Or maybe it was something deeper. A reckless part of herself she'd spent years trying to suppress. Maya stepped inside and let the door close behind her with a soft click. The darkness felt thick, suffocating. She couldn't see anything except the faint outline of furniture. A bed, a dresser, the edge of what might be a desk. "The light switch is to your right," Harrington said. Maya fumbled along the wall until her fingers found it. She flipped it on, and the room flooded with warm light from a standing lamp in the corner. The suite was massive, easily twice the size of her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the Chicago skyline, rain still streaking the glass. The furniture was elegant and minimal. A king-sized bed with pristine white linens, a sitting area with leather chairs, a desk with a laptop closed on its surface. And sitting in one of the chairs, still wearing his expensive suit but with his jacket removed and his sleeves rolled up, was Harrington. He looked different now, less intimidating, almost tired. There was a glass of amber liquid on the side table next to him, whiskey probably, and his gray eyes studied her with an intensity that made her feel like a specimen under a microscope. "You came," he said. Not a question, a statement. Maya stood near the door, her hand still on the handle. "You texted me. You told me to come. I gave you an option. You could have ignored it, thrown away the keycard, but you didn't." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit down. I'd rather stand." A faint smile crossed his face. "Smart. Don't trust easily. That's good." Maya's jaw tightened. "What do you want?" Harrington leaned back in his chair, crossing one leg over the other. "What I want is complicated, but let's start with what I know about you." He picked up a manila folder from the side table and opened it. Maya Elise Washington, 28 years old, born in Atlanta, Georgia, moved to Chicago 6 years ago. No criminal record, no college degree, though you attended Georgia State University for 2 years before dropping out. You've worked at Harrington's Steakhouse for 3 years. Before that, various restaurant jobs around the city. You live alone in a studio apartment in South Loop. Rent is $1,500 a month, which is half your income. You have $7,000 in student debt, no car, no significant savings. Maya's blood ran cold. How do you don't have social media, no Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter. You're a ghost online, which is unusual for someone your age. You keep your head down, you don't make waves, you're invisible. He closed the folder and looked at her. The question is, why? Maya's heart pounded. This wasn't just a background check, this was surveillance. Investigation. The kind of digging that required resources and intent. You had no right to. "I had every right," Harrington interrupted, his tone still calm. "I own the restaurant where you work. I can access your employee file whenever I want, but that's not why I looked into you." He paused. "I looked into you because of what happened 3 months ago." Maya felt the floor shift beneath her. 3 months ago. She knew exactly what he was talking about, and the fact that he knew meant everything had just become infinitely more dangerous. "I don't know what you're—" "Table 19, Harrington said. "August 14th, Tuesday night. A man dining alone. Mid-40s, expensive watch, black Amex card. He had too much to drink. Started getting loud, aggressive with the waitstaff. You were cleaning nearby." Maya's throat tightened. She remembered that night vividly. remembered the man's slurred words, the way he'd grabbed the young waitress's wrist, the way everyone had looked away. Security was about to intervene, Harrington continued. But before they could, you stepped in. You said something to him. Whispered it, actually. Whatever you said made him go pale. He let go of the waitress immediately, paid his bill, and left. He never came back to the restaurant. Maya said nothing. Her mind raced, trying to figure out how he knew. There hadn't been cameras at that angle. The dining room had been dimly lit. No one had been paying attention. What did you say to him? Harrington asked. It doesn't matter. It does to me. He leaned forward. Because that man was my father. The room seemed to contract. Maya stared at him, her thoughts spinning out of control. His father, the drunk customer who'd been harassing staff, was this man's father. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. My father doesn't use his real name when he goes out drinking. Bad for the family reputation. Harrington's expression darkened. But I have people who keep track of him, for his own protection and theirs. When I heard what happened that night, I had the security footage pulled. I watched you approach him, watched you lean in and say something that made a man who doesn't scare easily look genuinely afraid. Maya's hands trembled. She shoved them in her pockets. I didn't threaten him. I know you didn't. That's what makes it interesting. Harrington stood and walked to the window, looking out at the rain-soaked city. My father is a federal judge. Been on the bench for 23 years. He's powerful, connected, and very careful about his public image. But he has a drinking problem. And when he drinks, he becomes someone else. Someone ugly. He turned back to face her. So what could a cleaning woman possibly say to make a federal judge run out of a restaurant? Maya met his gaze. I told him I recognized him from the courthouse, that my cousin was appearing before him next week on a DUI charge, and that it would be a shame if word got out about how he treats service workers when he's drunk. Silence filled the room. Then Harrington laughed, a genuine surprised sound. You blackmailed him. I protected someone, Maya corrected. There's a difference. Not legally. Maybe not, but morally? Yeah. Harrington studied her for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. You're smarter than you let people think. I'm exactly as smart as I need to be to survive. No. He shook his head. You're more than that. You read people. You understand power dynamics. You know how to be invisible until the exact moment you need to be seen. Those aren't skills you learn cleaning tables. Maya's defenses rose like walls. What do you want from me, Mr. Harrington? Call me Ethan. He returned to his chair and picked up his whiskey glass. And what I want is simple. I want to offer you a job. Of all the things Maya had expected him to say, that wasn't one of them. A job. Yes. Doing what? What you're already good at. Being invisible. Paying attention. Seeing things other people miss. Ethan took a sip of his whiskey. My father isn't the only problem in my family. There are others. People doing things they shouldn't. Making decisions that could destroy everything we've built. I need someone on the inside. Someone no one would suspect. A spy, Maya said flatly. An observer. I need eyes in places where I can't be. And you're perfect for it. You're smart, you're careful, and most importantly, you're invisible. People ignore you, they talk around you like you're not there. Maya felt anger flash through her. So you want to use me? I want to pay you, Ethan corrected. Very well. $50,000 cash for 3 weeks of work. The number hit Maya like a physical blow. $50,000. That was more money than she'd made in the last 2 years combined. That was her student debt paid off. 6 months of rent, a cushion, a chance to breathe. What would I have to do? She heard herself ask. Ethan set down his glass. My family is hosting a charity gala in 2 weeks at our estate in Lake Forest. It's a big event. Politicians, business leaders, judges, old money families. Hundreds of people. And somewhere during that event, something is going to happen. Something illegal. I don't know what yet, but I know it's coming. How do you know? Because I've been listening, watching, piecing together conversations and emails and phone calls. My brother is involved. My uncle. Possibly my father, though I'm not sure. They're planning something that could bring down the whole family, and I need proof before I can stop it. Why not go to the police? Because I don't know who's involved yet. And if the police start digging, everyone scatters. Evidence disappears. I need someone inside. Someone who can move through the event unnoticed, listen to conversations, report back what they see. Maya shook her head. This is insane. I'm a cleaning woman, not some kind of detective. You're more than a cleaning woman. You proved that the night you confronted my father. You're intelligent, observant, and resourceful. And you're motivated. Motivated? You're drowning, Maya. I saw it in your file. You're one medical emergency away from complete financial collapse. You work 60-hour weeks and still can't get ahead. You're talented and smart, but the world hasn't given you a fair shot. He leaned forward. I'm offering you one now. Maya wanted to walk out, wanted to tell him to keep his money and his crazy schemes, but the number kept echoing in her head. $50,000. What if I say no? She asked quietly. Then you go back to your life. I'll never contact you again. The $100 tip was just that, a tip. This conversation never happened. And if I say yes, then I give you $10,000 tonight as a down payment. The rest when the job is done. You come to the gala as part of the catering staff. You watch, you listen. You report back to me, that's all. Maya looked at him, trying to read the truth in his face. Why me? You could hire a professional, a real investigator, because professionals stand out. They're too polished, too careful, but you? He smiled slightly. You blend in perfectly. And more importantly, I trust you. You don't even know me. I know you protected someone at personal risk. I know you could have taken the easy path tonight and thrown away that key card, but you came here instead. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Maya walked to the window, looking out at the Chicago skyline. The city glittered in the rain, beautiful and indifferent. How many people down there were drowning like she was? How many were offered a lifeline and turned it down out of fear? She thought about her apartment, the leak in the bathroom she couldn't afford to fix, the ramen noodles in her cupboard, the credit card bills she paid minimum amounts on each month, the dreams she'd abandoned one by one because survival took all her energy. $50,000 could change everything, but at what cost? I need to think about it, Maya said finally. Ethan nodded. You have 48 hours. After that, the offer expires. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. There's a phone number in here, burner phone, untraceable. When you decide, call it, or don't. Your choice. Maya took the envelope, feeling its weight. Inside, she could see the corner of what looked like cash along with a small piece of paper. The money in there is yours regardless of your decision, Ethan said. Consider it compensation for your time tonight. Maya opened the envelope. Inside were 10 $100 bills and a slip of paper with a phone number. $1,000. Just for showing up. She looked back at Ethan, this strange man who'd turned her world upside down in a single night. Why do you care so much about stopping your family? What do you get out of it? For the first time, Ethan's expression showed genuine emotion, something dark and painful. Because they killed my mother, and I'm going to prove it. The words hung in the air like smoke. Maya stared at him, trying to process what he'd just said. 5 years ago, Ethan continued quietly, my mother died in what everyone called a tragic accident. She fell down the stairs at our estate, broke her neck. The investigation was quick, clean, closed case. His jaw tightened. But I know it wasn't an accident, and whatever is happening at this gala is connected to her death, I'm sure of it. Maya felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just about money or family politics. This was about justice, about someone who'd been silenced and forgotten. She understood that, more than Ethan probably realized. I'll think about it, she said again. But this time her voice was different, steadier. Ethan nodded. That's all I can ask. Maya turned toward the door, the envelope clutched in her hand. But before she left, she looked back at him one more time. Why the coins? She asked. Why leave them like that if you were going to give me real money? Ethan's expression was unreadable. Because I needed to know if you'd still look under the plate, if you'd still do your job thoroughly, even after being disrespected. Character isn't about how you act when people are watching, Maya. It's about what you do when no one is. Maya felt something cold slide down her spine. He'd been testing her from the beginning. Every moment, every gesture had been calculated. You're not a good person, she said quietly. No, Ethan agreed. I'm not. But I'm the only one trying to do the right thing. Sometimes that's enough. Maya left without another word, pulling the door shut behind her. The hallway was still empty, still silent. She walked to the elevator in a daze, her mind unable to settle on a single thought. As the elevator descended, she looked at the envelope in her hands. $1,000. 48 hours to decide. A choice that could change everything or destroy everything. The doors opened on the lobby and Maya stepped out into the golden light, invisible once again. But as she walked through the exit and into the Chicago night, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She was going to make that call. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of her narrow bed in her studio apartment, the envelope from Ethan spread open on her lap. $100 bills, a phone number, and a choice that felt like standing at a crossroads with no map. Outside her window, Chicago hummed with its late-night symphony. Distant sirens, the rumble of the L train, voices from the street below. Her apartment was small enough that she could see the entire space from where she sat. A kitchenette with a 2-burner stove, a bathroom with a door that didn't close all the way, a corner that served as both living room and dining room. Everything she owned fit in this single room, and everything she owned could disappear with one missed paycheck. Maya picked up one of the $100 bills, holding it up to the weak light from her bedside lamp. It was real, crisp and new, like it had come straight from the bank. She'd already counted it 3 times, as if the numbers might change. $1,000, just for listening to Ethan Harrington talk for an hour. $50,000 if she said yes. She thought about what she could do with that money. Pay off her student loans completely, put down a deposit on a better apartment, maybe one where the radiator actually worked in winter, buy decent work shoes that didn't make her feet ache after 12-hour shifts, maybe even take a class or 2, finish the degree she'd abandoned when her mother got sick. Her mother. Maya's chest tightened at the thought. Breast cancer stage 4 discovered too late. Maya had dropped out of Georgia State to care for her, watching helplessly as the woman who'd raised her alone withered away in a hospital bed that cost more per day than Maya made in a week. The medical bills had buried them both. Her mother died, owing $70,000 to hospitals that couldn't save her. Maya had inherited the debt. And the lesson. In America, being poor could kill you. She looked at the phone number on the slip of paper. 10 digits that could change everything. They killed my mother. Ethan's words echoed in her mind. She'd heard the pain in his voice, seen something raw and real in his eyes when he said it. Whatever else he was, manipulative, calculating, dangerous, he was telling the truth about that. Maya knew what it felt like to lose a mother, knew the helplessness, the rage, the desperate need for someone to blame. She picked up her phone. It was 3:47 a.m., too early to call anyone, but her fingers moved anyway, pulling up her web browser and typing, Harrington Family Chicago. The results flooded in immediately. The Harringtons were old money, real estate, investments, political connections going back 3 generations. Ethan's grandfather had built half of downtown Chicago in the 60s. His father, Judge Marcus Harrington, sat on the federal bench. His uncle, Richard Harrington, ran the family's real estate empire. And his brother, Christopher Harrington, was a rising star in Chicago politics, currently running for state senate. They were the kind of family that appeared in Chicago Magazine's society pages, charity galas, fundraisers, always smiling, always polished, always powerful. Maya scrolled until she found what she was looking for, an article from 5 years ago. Tragedy strikes Harrington family. Caroline Harrington dies at 52. There was a photo, a beautiful woman with kind eyes and graying blonde hair, smiling at a charity event. Caroline Harrington, beloved wife and mother, philanthropist, advocate for domestic violence survivors. Maya read the article carefully. Caroline Harrington died late Tuesday evening after falling down a staircase at the family's Lake Forest estate. According to police reports, Mrs. Harrington appeared to have tripped, striking her head and breaking her neck in the fall. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The family has requested privacy during this difficult time. No foul play is suspected. That last line jumped out at Maya. No foul play is suspected. It was the kind of statement police made when they wanted to close a case quickly, when they didn't want to ask uncomfortable questions about powerful people. Maya dug deeper, finding more articles. The funeral had been private. There'd been an outpouring of tributes from organizations Caroline had supported, but there were no interviews with the family, no statements from Ethan or his brother, just silence, expensive and impenetrable. She found one more article, buried deeper in the search results, a small piece from an alternative newspaper, published 3 months after Caroline's death. Questions remain in Harrington death. While authorities have closed the investigation into Caroline Harrington's fatal fall, some details remain unexplained. According to sources close to the family, Mrs. Harrington had been in excellent health and had no history of falls or balance issues. The staircase where she died was one she'd used daily for over 20 years. Additionally, sources indicate that Mrs. Harrington had been planning to make a significant announcement at a family meeting scheduled for the day after her death, an announcement that died with her. When contacted, the Harrington family declined to comment. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office maintains that the death was accidental. Maya's heart raced as she read it again. An announcement that died with her. What had Caroline Harrington been about to reveal? She kept searching, but found nothing else. The story had disappeared, swallowed by time and the family's influence. Whatever questions had existed had been quietly buried, just like Caroline herself. Maya set down her phone and looked at the envelope again. Ethan wasn't lying. Or if he was, it was a lie, built on real suspicion, real grief. Something had happened to his mother, something the family didn't want examined. And now, 5 years later, he believed it was about to happen again. Something illegal, something that could bring down the whole family. Maya stood and walked to her window, pressing her forehead against the cool glass. Dawn was beginning to break over the city, turning the sky from black to deep purple. In a few hours, she'd have to go back to the restaurant, back to being invisible, back to scrubbing tables and collecting coins, unless she made a different choice. Her phone was in her hand before she'd fully decided. She pulled out the slip of paper with the number and dialed before she could talk herself out of it. It rang once, twice. Yes, Ethan's voice clear and alert despite the early hour. "It's Maya," she said. "I'm in." They met again 2 days later, but not at the Whitmore Hotel. This time, Ethan gave her an address in Lincoln Park, an upscale neighborhood Maya usually only saw from the L train window. The building was a converted brownstone with a discreet entrance and no visible security cameras. Maya climbed the steps and found the door unlocked, just as Ethan had said it would be. Inside, the space was sparse but expensive. Hardwood floors, exposed brick walls, minimal furniture. An office maybe, or a safe house. Somewhere private. Ethan was waiting in what looked like a library, surrounded by file boxes and a laptop. He looked different in daylight streaming through tall windows. Younger, more tired, more human. He wore jeans and a gray sweater, his hair slightly disheveled. "You came," he said, standing when she entered. "You're paying me to." Maya set down her bag. "Let's get to work." A flicker of approval crossed his face. Direct. "I like that." He gestured to a chair. "We have 12 days until the gala. That's not much time to prepare you." "Prepare me for what exactly?" Ethan opened one of the file boxes and pulled out a thick folder. "The gala is being held at my family's estate. 300 guests, catering staff of about 50. You'll be hired through the catering company as additional help for the event. I've already arranged it. They think you're a referral from another event." He slid several photos across the desk. Maya recognized some of the faces. Politicians she'd seen on TV, business leaders, Chicago society fixtures. "These are the key players," Ethan continued. "My brother Christopher is running for state senate. He's charismatic, ambitious, and completely amoral. My uncle Richard controls the family's business interests. He's old school, traditional, and ruthless. And my father, Judge Marcus Harrington, sits at the center of it all." "The drunk from the restaurant," Maya said. "Yes, but he's not always drunk. He's sharp when he's sober. Dangerous." Ethan pulled out another photo. Caroline Harrington smiling at the camera. "My mother was the only person who could control him. After she died, he got worse." Maya studied the photo. What was she going to announce? The day after she died? Ethan's expression darkened. "I don't know. She told me she'd discovered something about the family business. Something that couldn't continue. She was going to confront my father and uncle at a family meeting." He paused. "She never made it to that meeting. And you think they killed her to keep her quiet?" "I know they did. I just can't prove it." He pulled out a thick legal document. "This is my mother's will. She left everything to a trust. Millions of dollars earmarked for domestic violence charities. But there was a clause. If anyone in the family contests the will or is found to have been involved in illegal activity related to her death, they forfeit their inheritance entirely. Everything goes to the charities." Maya's eyes widened. "So if you can prove they killed her, they lose everything, the estate, the money, the power, all of it." Ethan's jaw tightened. "My mother was smart. She knew something was wrong. She built in a safeguard. But 5 years have passed. If you haven't found proof yet, that's because I've been looking in the wrong places. I've been trying to find evidence of the murder itself, but recently I realized something." He leaned forward. "Whatever they did to my mother, it was connected to their business, to something they're still doing. And that gala? It's the same week as a major city planning vote on a development deal worth $300 million. A deal my uncle's company has been pushing for 2 years." Maya felt pieces clicking together. You think they're going to bribe someone at the gala? I think they're going to do more than that. I think they're going to make a deal that my mother discovered 5 years ago. A deal she was going to expose. And when she threatened it, they killed her. The room fell silent except for the distant sound of traffic outside. Maya looked at the photos spread across the desk. Powerful men in expensive suits, smiling for cameras, hiding secrets. "What do you need me to do?" she asked. Ethan pulled out a small device about the size of a USB drive. "This is a recording device, audio only, high quality. It can pick up conversations from 15 feet away. You'll wear it during the gala, hidden in your uniform. That's illegal. So is murder." Ethan met her eyes. "I need you to get close to my brother and uncle. Listen to their conversations, record anything that sounds suspicious. Names, numbers, deals, anything. And if they catch me, they won't because you're invisible, remember? They won't even notice you're there." He paused. "But if something goes wrong, you walk away. No heroics. Your safety comes first." Maya picked up the recording device, feeling its weight in her palm. It was so small, such a tiny thing to carry so much risk. "There's something else," Ethan said quietly. "My father will be there. The man you confronted at the restaurant. If he recognizes you, he won't. He was too drunk, and people like him don't remember faces like mine." Ethan studied her for a moment. "You've spent your whole life being underestimated, haven't you? Every single day. Good. Use it." He stood and walked to the window. "The gala is in 12 days. Between now and then, I'll brief you on the key players, the layout of the estate, and what to listen for. You'll attend as part of the catering staff. During the event, you'll move through the rooms, serving drinks, clearing plates, and recording everything you can." Maya stood too, slipping the device into her pocket. "And after, when it's over, you give me the recordings. I analyze them, find the evidence I need, and bring down everyone involved." He turned back to face her. "And you get your $50,000. Just like that. Just like that." Maya walked toward the door, then stopped. "Why now? Why after 5 years are you suddenly doing this?" Ethan was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with something Maya couldn't quite name. "Because I just found out my father is dying. Pancreatic cancer. He has maybe 6 months. And if he dies before I can prove what he did to my mother, justice dies with him." Maya felt something twist in her chest. 6 months. The same amount of time her own mother had lived after diagnosis. "I'm sorry," she said, surprising herself. "Don't be. He doesn't deserve sympathy." Ethan's expression hardened again. "He deserves consequences, and I'm going to make sure he gets them." Maya nodded and reached for the door handle. But before she left, she looked back one more time. "Your mother," she said. "What was she like?" Ethan's mask slipped for just a moment, and Maya saw real pain beneath it. "She was kind. She saw people. Really saw them. She would have liked you, I think." Then the moment passed, and he was all business again. "I'll contact you in 2 days with more details. Until then, keep the cash I gave you. And Maya," he met her eyes. "Thank you." Maya left the brownstone and walked back into the Chicago morning, the recording device heavy in her pocket, knowing she'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. In 12 days, she would walk into the home of one of Chicago's most powerful families, and she would either uncover the truth or become another person who knew too much. The next 12 days passed in a blur of preparation and paranoia. Maya continued working her regular shifts at Harrington Steakhouse, moving through the dining room with the same practiced invisibility. But everything felt different now. Every interaction carried weight. Every conversation she overheard made her wonder if she was hearing something important. She was learning to be two people at once: the quiet cleaning woman everyone ignored, and someone else. Someone who noticed, someone who remembered, someone dangerous. Ethan had given her a burner phone with a single contact saved under the name E. They communicated in brief, encrypted messages, meeting locations, times, instructions. Never anything that could be traced back to either of them if the phone was discovered. Their second meeting was in a coffee shop in Wicker Park, crowded enough that they could talk without being overheard. Ethan arrived first, sitting in a corner booth with a laptop. Maya slid in across from him, ordering nothing, drawing no attention. "Here," Ethan said, sliding a thumb drive across the table. "Everything you need to know about the estate layout." Maya pocketed it. "How do I access it?" "Any computer. Any. The files are encrypted but will open automatically. Study them. Memorize the floor plan. Know where every room is, every exit, every camera blind spot. There are cameras. Dozens. But the catering areas and service corridors aren't monitored as heavily. That's where you'll spend most of your time. He pulled up photos on his laptop, turning the screen toward her. This is the main house, built in 1924, renovated 3 times, 22 rooms across 3 floors. The gala will primarily take place on the first floor. The grand ballroom, the library, the east parlor, and the gardens if weather permits. Maya studied the images. The estate was massive, all stone and soaring windows surrounded by manicured lawns that probably cost more to maintain than her annual salary. Where will your family be? Everywhere. My brother will work the room, schmoozing donors and potential voters. My uncle will be in the library most of the night. That's where the real business happens. And my father will float between the bar and whatever room has the most important people in it. And you? I'll be there too, playing the dutiful son. But we can't be seen together. Not even eye contact. If anyone suspects a connection between us, this is over. Maya nodded, committing everything to memory. What about the catering company? What's my cover story? You're Maya Torres, hired through a temp agency. You've worked events before, but you're new to this company. Keep your answers vague if anyone asks. Most of the staff won't care. They'll be too busy with their own jobs. And the recording device? Ethan pulled out what looked like a designer brooch, silver, with a small dark stone in the center. This is the real one, more sophisticated than the first device I showed you. It's a pin, meant to be worn on your uniform. The stone is actually a camera and microphone, video and audio, cloud uploaded in real time to a secure server only I can access. Maya took it carefully, examining the craftsmanship. It looked expensive, real. Won't someone notice if a catering worker is wearing jewelry? It's part of the uniform. All the female staff will have them. My brother's idea, something about elegance and presentation. Yours is the only one that actually works. Smart, Maya admitted. I've been planning this for a long time. Ethan closed his laptop. There's something else you need to know. My brother is bringing someone to the gala, a woman he's been seeing. Her name is Victoria Chen. She's a city council member and she'll be one of the key votes on the development deal. Maya's instincts prickled. He's dating someone who can influence the vote he needs? Convenient, isn't it? Ethan's expression darkened. My brother doesn't do anything without calculation. If he's with her, it's because she's useful to him. You think he's bribing her? I think he's manipulating her, making her think she's in a relationship when she's really just a political asset. When the vote happens, she'll support the development deal without realizing she's been played. Maya felt a flash of anger. She'd seen men like Christopher Harrington before, men who used people, especially women, as disposable tools to get what they wanted. Does she know about his family? About what they're capable of? I doubt it. My brother is very good at presenting the version of himself people want to see. Ethan paused. But here's the thing. Victoria Chen is also the daughter of James Chen, who was a business partner of my uncle's 15 years ago. They had a major falling out over a failed deal. James Chen lost everything. He died 5 years ago, broken. The timeline clicked. The same year your mother died. Yes. Ethan's jaw tightened. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think my mother discovered something about what happened to James Chen, something that connected back to my family. Maya's mind raced, putting pieces together. And now your brother is dating Chen's daughter. Either he doesn't know who she is, or it's intentional, a way to keep her close, control her. Ethan leaned forward. I need you to watch them at the gala, see how they interact, record their conversations. Victoria might know something without realizing it, or she might be in danger and not know it yet. You want me to warn her? I want you to gather evidence. Warning her could tip off my brother. He met Maya's eyes. I know that sounds cold, but if we move too soon, everyone scatters. We get one shot at this. Maya understood even if she didn't like it. Justice required patience. Sometimes it required letting people walk into danger so you could catch the ones who set the trap. 12 days, she said, and then we end this. 12 days, Ethan agreed. Maya spent her nights studying the estate layout on a borrowed laptop from the public library. She memorized every room, every hallway, every entrance and exit. The grand ballroom where 300 guests would gather. The library where deals would be made in shadow. The kitchen where she'd spend most of her time, invisible among dozens of other workers. But she also studied the people. Ethan had provided dossiers on everyone who mattered. His brother Christopher, charming and ambitious. His uncle Richard, cold and calculating. His father Marcus, brilliant and broken. And Victoria Chen, a 32-year-old city council member who'd fought her way up from nothing after her father's death. Maya found herself drawn to Victoria's story. Born to immigrants, first-generation college graduate, dedicated public servant. She reminded Maya of herself, someone trying to make something of her life despite the odds. And Christopher Harrington was using her. On the 8th day, Maya met Ethan again, this time in Grant Park near the Buckingham Fountain. It was a cold November afternoon. The fountain shut down for winter, the park nearly empty. They walked side by side, not quite together, just two people who happened to be going the same direction. "I found something," Ethan said quietly. "My mother's personal laptop. It was in storage, locked away with her other belongings. I finally got access to it. And she was documenting everything. Meetings, conversations, financial records. She knew my uncle and father were involved in something illegal. She just needed proof before she could go public. What kind of illegal? Money laundering, bribery, fraud. The development deal they're pushing isn't just about real estate. It's about controlling key infrastructure in Chicago. Water access, utilities, transportation. Whoever controls that development controls billions in future revenue." Maya's breath misted in the cold air. "And they've been paying people off to make it happen. For years. Judges, city officials, planning commissioners. Small payments, untraceable. My mother started connecting the dots. She realized the family business wasn't just morally corrupt, it was criminal. And they killed her for it. They made it look like an accident, but yes." Ethan stopped walking, turning to face the frozen fountain. "There's more. I found emails between my mother and James Chen. They were working together. He was going to testify about the bribes he'd witnessed. My mother was going to support him, use her position in the family to validate his claims. And then they both died within months of each other. Chen's death was ruled a suicide. Jumped from his apartment building. But now knowing what I know," Ethan's voice trailed off, "I think they were both murdered, and I think whoever did it is going to try again." Maya felt cold that had nothing to do with the weather. At the gala, something is happening that night. A final payment, a last deal, something that completes whatever they started 5 years ago. And I think Victoria Chen is somehow involved, whether she knows it or not. We need to warn her. Not yet. If we do, she'll confront Christopher. He'll know someone is onto them. We lose our advantage. Ethan looked at Maya, his expression intense. 4 more days. Can you hold on 4 more days? Maya thought about Victoria Chen, walking into a trap, about Caroline Harrington, dead at the bottom of a staircase, about her own mother, destroyed by a system that valued profit over people. 4 days, she said. But if I think she's in immediate danger, I'm pulling the plug. Fair enough. They separated, walking in opposite directions through the empty park. Maya's phone buzzed 10 minutes later with a text from E. "Thank you for trusting me. This ends soon." But as Maya rode the L train back to her apartment, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't going to end the way Ethan thought it would. The final days before the gala passed in preparation. Maya met with the catering company, signed paperwork under her fake name, received her uniform, black pants, white shirt, black vest, and the silver brooch that would record everything. She practiced wearing it at home, getting used to the weight, the angle. The camera was hidden perfectly in the dark stone. No one would ever suspect. On the last night before the gala, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios. What if she was recognized? What if the device failed? What if Christopher or Richard discovered what she was doing? What if she ended up like Caroline Harrington? Her phone buzzed at 2 a.m. A text from E. "Are you ready?" Maya stared at the message for a long time before typing her response. "Yes." The reply came immediately. "Good. Tomorrow, we get justice. For my mother, for James Chen, for everyone they've hurt." Maya set down her phone and closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come. Instead, she thought about her own mother, dying in a hospital bed holding Maya's hand. "You're stronger than you think, baby," her mother had whispered. "Don't let them make you small. Don't let them make you invisible." Maya had spent years doing exactly that, making herself small, making herself invisible. It had kept her safe. It had kept her alive. But tomorrow, she was going to be seen. The morning of the gala, Maya woke at dawn. She showered, dressed carefully in her uniform, and pinned the brooch to her vest. In the mirror, she looked exactly like what she was supposed to be, a catering worker, anonymous and forgettable. But beneath the surface, her heart raced with purpose. The catering company van picked her up at noon, along with a dozen other workers. They drove north out of the city, through suburbs that grew increasingly expensive. until they reached Lake Forest. The Harrington estate appeared through the trees like something from another era, stone and grandeur, surrounded by walls and gates. Security checked the van before allowing them through. Maya stared out the window as they drove up the long driveway, her hands clenched in her lap. Somewhere in that massive house, Christopher and Richard Harrington were preparing for their guests, not knowing that Maya Washington carried a camera that would expose everything they'd done. The van pulled around to the service entrance. Workers filed out, carrying equipment and supplies. Maya followed, keeping her head down, blending in. The kitchen was chaos. Chefs barking orders, servers arranging trays, managers checking lists. Maya was assigned to the bar service team, which meant she'd be moving through the main rooms all night, serving drinks, collecting empties, staying mobile. Perfect. At 6 p.m. the first guests began arriving. Maya watched from the kitchen doorway as expensive cars pulled up, disgorging men in tuxedos and women in gowns that cost more than Maya's rent. They moved through the grand entrance like they owned the world. Because they did. "You, new girl." A manager snapped her fingers at Maya. "Take this tray to the library. Whiskey service. And don't dawdle." Maya lifted the heavy tray of crystal glasses and premium whiskey, balancing it carefully. She moved through the service corridor and emerged into the main house. The library was exactly as Ethan had described. Wood paneling, leather furniture, the smell of old books and older money. 3 men stood near the fireplace talking in low voices. Richard Harrington, a man Maya didn't recognize, and Judge Marcus Harrington. Maya's breath caught. She'd seen the judge's photo, but in person he was more imposing. Tall, silver-haired, with cold blue eyes that missed nothing. She moved silently to the bar cart in the corner, setting down her tray and beginning to arrange the glasses. The men ignored her completely, continuing their conversation. "Meeting is confirmed for 10 o'clock, Richard was saying. "Private room, 2nd floor. Make sure she's there. Victoria won't be a problem," the unknown man said. "Christopher has her completely convinced this is about their relationship." Marcus laughed, a harsh sound. "My son always did know how to manipulate women. He learned from the best." Maya's hands trembled slightly as she poured whiskey into a glass. The brooch on her vest was recording every word. "What about the others?" Richard asked. "Are they on board?" "Everyone who matters. The vote will pass. The development moves forward, and we secure our position for the next 20 years. And Chen's daughter never suspects. Why would she? She's in love." The unknown man accepted a glass of whiskey from Maya without looking at her. By the time she realizes she's been used, it'll be too late to matter. Maya finished her service and backed toward the door, her heart pounding. She'd barely been in the room 5 minutes, and already she had evidence of conspiracy. But as she reached the doorway, Marcus Harrington's voice stopped her cold. "Wait." Maya froze, every muscle tense. "You," Marcus said, "come here." Maya turned slowly, her mind racing through exit strategies. Marcus was staring at her now, his expression puzzled, like he was trying to remember something. "Do I know you?" he asked. And in that moment, Maya realized that being invisible had just stopped being protection. It had become the most dangerous thing of all. Time seemed to slow as Marcus Harrington studied Maya's face. She could see him searching his memory, trying to place her. The restaurant, table 19, the night she'd confronted him about the waitress. Maya kept her expression neutral, her body language submissive. "No, sir, I don't believe so." Marcus took a step closer, his eyes narrowing. Behind him, Richard and the unknown man had stopped talking, watching the interaction with mild curiosity. "You look familiar," Marcus insisted. His voice had that edge Maya recognized, the tone of someone who was used to being right, used to getting answers. "I have one of those faces, sir." Maya kept her voice soft, deferential. "People say that often." Richard made an impatient sound. "Marcus, for God's sake, she's catering staff. Can we continue?" But Marcus didn't move. He was still staring at Maya, and she could see the moment something clicked in his mind. His expression changed. Not recognition exactly, but suspicion. "What's your name?" he demanded. "Maya Torres, sir." "Torres." He repeated it slowly, tasting the lie. "And how long have you worked for this catering company?" Maya's heart hammered, but she kept her composure. "This is my first event with them, sir. I came highly recommended from another company." "Which company?" "Carlton Events, sir." "In the city." It was the name Ethan had prepared her with. A real company that did exist and occasionally hired temporary staff. Verifiable enough to pass a casual check, but not so detailed that it would crumble under scrutiny. Marcus studied her for another long moment. Then, just as Maya thought she might have to run, he waved a dismissive hand. Fine, go. Maya didn't need to be told twice. She turned and walked out of the library, forcing herself to move at a normal pace, even though every instinct screamed at her to run. As soon as she was back in the service corridor, she leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The brooch on her vest had captured everything. The conspiracy about Victoria, the planned meeting at 10 o'clock, the admission that they'd been manipulating city officials for years, but Marcus Harrington suspected her. And if he decided to dig deeper, Maya's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, seeing a text from E, second floor, East Wing. Now. She glanced around, making sure no one was watching, then slipped toward the service stairs. The second floor was supposed to be off-limits during the gala, reserved for family only. But Maya knew the layout, knew which rooms would be empty. She found Ethan in what looked like a guest bedroom, standing by the window with his phone in hand. He was dressed in a tuxedo, playing his role as the dutiful son, but his expression was intense, focused. "I saw the footage," he said as soon as she entered. "That was too close. Your father almost recognized me." "I know. We need to move faster than planned." Ethan pulled out his phone, showing her a live feed from the brooch camera. "The meeting they mentioned, 10 o'clock, private room, second floor. That's the East Parlor. It's 4 doors down from here." "What are they planning?" "A final payoff to Victoria. They're going to offer her something, probably a position in Christopher's administration when he wins the Senate seat. In exchange, she votes yes on the development deal." Ethan's jaw tightened. "And she has no idea she's been set up from the beginning." Maya thought about Victoria Chen, downstairs somewhere in an expensive dress, thinking she was attending a gala with her boyfriend, not knowing she was walking into a trap her father had died trying to expose. "We have to warn her," Maya said. "Not yet. If we do, Christopher will know something's wrong. He'll cancel the meeting, destroy evidence. We need to catch them in the act." "So what do we do?" "You get into that parlor before 10, hide. Record everything. Get undeniable proof of the bribery." Ethan met her eyes. "And then we call the FBI." Maya felt her stomach drop. "The FBI? I have a contact, Agent Sarah Morrison. She's been investigating political corruption in Chicago for 3 years. I reached out to her 2 days ago, told her I had evidence of a major conspiracy. She's standing by, waiting for my call. Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because the fewer people who knew, the safer you were. But now," he gestured to his phone, "now we have them on tape admitting to conspiracy. We just need the final piece, the actual bribe." Maya looked out the window at the estate grounds below. Guests milled about in the gardens, champagne glasses catching the light from the house. It all looked so civilized, so elegant. No one would ever suspect that upstairs in a private room, a criminal conspiracy was about to unfold. "What about Christopher?" Maya asked. "Will he be at this meeting?" "Probably. He'll want to be there when Victoria agrees, when she sells herself without realizing it." Ethan's expression darkened. "My brother is good at making people feel special while he destroys them." Maya checked the time. 8:47 p.m. Just over an hour until the meeting. "I need to get back downstairs before someone notices I'm gone," she said. "Maya?" Ethan caught her arm as she turned to leave. "If anything goes wrong, if you feel threatened at all, you get out. Don't try to be a hero." "I'm not a hero," Maya said. "I'm just someone who's tired of watching powerful people get away with murder." She left before he could respond, slipping back down the service stairs and into the controlled chaos of the catering operation. No one had noticed her absence. She was still invisible. For the next hour, Maya moved through the gala like a ghost, serving drinks, clearing plates, listening to conversations. She saw Christopher Harrington working the room, his hand on Victoria Chen's back, introducing her to Chicago's elite. Victoria looked happy, radiant even, in an emerald green gown that made her stand out among the other guests. She had no idea. Maya also saw Marcus Harrington near the bar, drinking steadily, his eyes occasionally scanning the room, looking for her. She couldn't be sure. She kept her distance, staying in the periphery. At 9:45 p.m., Maya excused herself from her station, citing a bathroom break. Instead, she headed back to the second floor, moving quickly through the empty hallways. The East Parlor was exactly where Ethan had indicated, a small, private sitting room with heavy curtains and antique furniture. Maya slipped inside and looked for a hiding place. There was a large armoire against one wall, ornate and probably worth more than her car if she had one. She opened it carefully, finding it mostly empty except for some spare linens. She climbed inside, leaving the door open just a crack so the brooch camera could still record. Then she waited. At 9:58 p.m., she heard footsteps in the hallway. The parlor door opened. Maya held her breath, watching through the narrow gap in the armoire door. Richard Harrington entered first, followed by two men Maya didn't recognize, probably lawyers or business partners. They arranged themselves around the room, speaking in low voices. "She should be here any minute," Richard said, checking his watch. "And you're sure Christopher has her convinced?" one of the lawyers asked. "Completely. She thinks this is a romantic gesture, a private moment away from the crowd where he's going to propose." Maya's stomach turned. They were going to use a fake proposal to manipulate Victoria into accepting the bribe. At 10:02 p.m., the door opened again. Christopher walked in, his arm around Victoria's waist. She was smiling, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Christopher, what's going on?" Victoria laughed. "Your uncle is here. This doesn't seem very romantic." "Actually, it's perfect," Christopher said smoothly. "Victoria, I wanted my family here for this, because what I'm about to ask you involves all of us." Victoria's expression shifted, confusion mixing with excitement. "Ask me what?" Christopher took her hands. "Victoria, you know how much I care about you, how much I admire your dedication to public service. You're brilliant, passionate, and exactly the kind of leader Chicago needs. Christopher, let me finish. When I win the Senate seat, and I will win, I want you by my side, not just as my girlfriend, but as my partner in changing this city. I'm offering you a position in my administration, chief of staff, real power, real influence." Victoria's eyes widened. That's incredible, but there's just one thing." Richard stepped forward. "The development deal, the one coming up for vote next week. We need to know you're on board. It's crucial for Chicago's future, for our future." And there it was, the bribe, wrapped in romance and ambition. Victoria pulled her hands away from Christopher, her expression hardening. "Wait, you're asking me to promise my vote? Before the hearings? Before the full review? I'm asking you to trust us," Christopher said. "This deal will bring thousands of jobs to Chicago. Investment, growth. Isn't that what you want? What I want is to vote based on facts and public good, not political favors." Victoria took a step back. "Is that what this has been about, you dating me to secure my vote?" Christopher's mask slipped for just a second, a flash of irritation before he smoothed it back into charm. "Of course not. I love you, Victoria. But love and politics don't have to be separate. You can have both." "You mean I can have both if I do what you want?" The room went silent. Maya watched through the crack, barely breathing, the camera recording every word. Richard moved closer to Victoria, his voice dropping. "Miss Chen, I don't think you understand what's at stake here. This development represents the future of Chicago. It has support at the highest levels. Judges, council members, even federal officials. Opposing it would be," he paused, "unwise." "Is that a threat?" "It's reality. Your father learned the hard way what happens to people who stand against progress." Victoria went pale. "What did you say?" "Your father, James Chen. He tried to expose some alleged improprieties years ago. Baseless claims, of course. But the stress of the investigation, the shame." Richard shrugged. "Some people can't handle pressure." Maya saw the moment Victoria understood, saw the horror dawn in her eyes as she realized these men, including the man she'd been dating, were responsible for her father's death. "You killed him," Victoria whispered. "You made it look like suicide, but you killed him. That's a very serious accusation," Richard said coldly. "One you couldn't possibly prove." "Couldn't I?" Victoria's voice shook with rage. "You just admitted it. You all just admitted it." Christopher grabbed her arm. "Victoria, calm down, you're upset. You're not thinking clearly." Victoria jerked away from him. "Don't touch me, don't ever touch me again." She turned toward the door, but Richard moved to block her path. "I'm afraid you can't leave yet, Miss Chen. Not until we've reached an understanding." "An understanding? You mean a deal where I keep my mouth shut about you murdering my father?" "Your father killed himself," Richard said flatly. "The police report is very clear, and nothing you say tonight changes that." From her hiding place, Maya knew this had gone far enough. Victoria was in danger. Real danger. She had to do something. She pushed open the armoire door and stepped out. "Actually," Maya said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "everything said tonight has been recorded, video and audio, and it's already been uploaded to a secure server." The room exploded into chaos. Christopher spun toward her. "Who the hell are you?" "She's the cleaning woman from the restaurant." Marcus Harrington's voice came from the doorway. He stood there, swaying slightly, clearly drunk, but not so drunk he didn't understand what was happening. I knew I recognized you. Get her phone, Richard barked. Get whatever device she's using. It's too late. Ethan's voice cut through the room. He appeared behind his father, his own phone held up. FBI is on their way. They've been listening to a live feed for the past 10 minutes. Agent Morrison has already secured a warrant for your arrests. Richard's face went white. You did this. I did what Mother would have wanted, Ethan said. I got justice. Christopher lunged toward Maya, but Victoria moved faster, stepping between them. Don't you dare touch her, she just saved my life. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The gala guests downstairs would be panicking soon, wondering why FBI agents were swarming the estate. Marcus Harrington looked at his sons, at Ethan, standing tall with righteousness and rage, and at Christopher, caught and cornered like a rat in a trap. Then he looked at his brother Richard, the architect of so much destruction. Caroline knew, Marcus said quietly, almost to himself. She knew what we were, what we'd become, and I let them kill her for it. Ethan's expression cracked. You knew? I suspected, but I was too much of a coward to find out for sure, too afraid of what I'd find. Marcus's voice broke. She was the only good thing in this family, the only honest thing, and I let them take her. Richard made a move toward the door, but Maya stepped into his path, blocking him. For a moment they stood face to face, the invisible cleaning woman and the powerful man who thought himself untouchable. You're nobody, Richard hissed. You're nothing. Maybe, Maya said, but nothing just took down everything. The FBI agents burst into the room moments later, led by a tall woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. Richard Harrington, Christopher Harrington, Marcus Harrington, you're under arrest for conspiracy, bribery, obstruction of justice, and murder. As the agents moved in with handcuffs, Maya stepped back, her legs suddenly weak. She felt Victoria's hand on her arm, steadying her. Thank you, Victoria whispered. My father, thank you for getting justice for him. Maya nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Around them, the Harrington empire was crumbling in real time. Powerful men reduced to criminals in handcuffs. Secrets exposed. Justice finally arriving. Ethan approached as the agents led his family away. His father went quietly, broken. His brother fought and cursed. His uncle stayed silent, already calculating his next move. It's over, Ethan said. He looked exhausted, hollowed out. It's finally over. Your mother would be proud, Maya said. Would she? Ethan's voice was raw. I destroyed my family to get this. You destroyed the lie, Maya corrected. The family was already gone. 3 weeks later, Maya sat in a coffee shop in downtown Chicago, a check for $50,000 in her purse, and a job offer letter on the table in front of her. Agent Morrison wanted to hire her as a consultant. You have skills we need, she'd said, an eye for detail, the ability to blend in. Most importantly, you understand what justice means to people who've been denied it. Maya traced the letterhead with her finger. FBI consultant. It wasn't permanent, wasn't secure, but it was a chance, a real chance. Her phone buzzed. A text from Victoria Chen. Coffee next week? I want to talk to you about my father. I think you understood him better than I realized. Another text, this one from Ethan. The trust is being distributed. Mother's charities are fully funded. Thank you for helping me keep my promise to her. Maya looked out the window at Chicago, the city that had chewed her up and spit her out, the city that had made her invisible. But invisibility, she'd learned, was just another kind of power. The power to see truth, the power to move unnoticed through places where secrets lived, the power to demand justice for those who couldn't. She picked up the job offer letter and read it again. Then she pulled out her phone and typed a message to Agent Morrison. I'm in. When do I start? The reply came immediately. Tomorrow. Welcome to the team. Maya gathered her things and stepped out into the Chicago afternoon. The city looked different now. Not smaller, not kinder, but knowable, navigable. A place where someone like her could make a difference, where someone like her could be seen. She thought about her mother, about Caroline Harrington, about James Chen and all the others who'd been destroyed by people who thought they were untouchable. This is for you, Maya whispered to the memory of them all. And then she walked forward into her new life, no longer invisible, no longer small, finally, powerfully, impossibly, seen. 6 months later, Maya stood in the marble lobby of the federal courthouse. The trial had ended. All 3 Harringtons were convicted. Marcus got 15 years. Richard and Christopher got 25 each. Victoria Chen was beside her, now running for Senate on an anti-corruption platform. "You changed everything," Victoria said. Maya smiled. "We changed everything." As they walked into the Chicago sunshine, Maya noticed something. People were looking at her, really seeing her. Not as furniture, not as invisible, as someone who mattered. She'd started with coins on a table and ended with justice. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person willing to look under the plate.